T. It's in the name.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor podcast with Ben and Travis. We are thankful that you guys have joined in with us today. And in just a few moments, we are going to enter the very recesses of the brain of the one who makes this show the most popular that it is. And that is Travis Creasy, because this week is Travis's birthday. Not going to tell you how old he's going to be. He might want to do that. But we'll get to some questions, Ask Travis Anything questions, in just a few moments after these messages.
Hey parents and young adventurers, are you ready to embark on an extraordinary journey? Introducing the adventures of Ben and Travis and the Worry Coaster, a thrilling ride through the ups and downs of mental health in our new children's book. Join our dynamic duo as they navigate the twists and turns of their emotions while discovering the courage to conquer their worries. Pre-order your ticket to adventure now at benandtravis.com/books and be among the first to embark on this roller coaster of resilience. Let's turn worry into wonder and empower kids to embrace their feelings with bravery and hope. Buckle up. It's going to be an unforgettable ride.
I'm Ben Hayes, and that up there is Travis Creasy, the birthday boy this week. And Travis, how you doing after the weekend?
I'm better. Right, I'm slowly getting over Saturday night, where the Tide came up short against Duke, like most people expected. It helps that Tennessee had such a poor showing. The lowest amount of points scored in the first half by a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. But shout out to Blake, the resident Barner. They're still playing. I think I'm happy for him, but the sooner they get out, the better. So. But I'm almost there. Will, how's it going, man?
Man, I'm good. Zakai Ziegler is finally leaving Tennessee. I think he's 35. I think we were both born in the same year, and he's gone, which is phenomenal news. So I'm doing well. I'm still beating the rest of the youth group members in my bracket. So I have nothing to brag about in our Ben and Travis bracket or in our friend Jeff Tabner's. So just I've got a real happy wife right now, and she's pregnant. So if that's what it takes to keep her happy and feeling good, then, I'll
living the dream.
I'll smile if Auburn gets it.
I thought for a minute you were keeping her happy by having a bad bracket, but I realized it's because she's an Auburn fan, so we need to clarify that. So.
You did win. I think it's pretty solid that you have won the Panel of Dislike custom jersey for the second year in a row. So welcome to the back-to-back club, which I am also a part of.
It's kind of an historic run. I think I'm only going to lose potentially 8 games through NFL, college, and college football and college basketball. So
a dominant run, they might say. A dominant run.
Pretty dominant. Anything about that?
Ben and Josh were just there,
It's just there. That's all I am. I'm just here.
Yeah.
I'm here so that you have someone to beat. That's it. That's my whole purpose in life. So anyway, as we said earlier, today we are going to just ask Travis some questions. Will has several lined up and ready. I've got a few, hopefully maybe come up with some other ones as we go along. But kind of asking Travis anything. It might be serious. They might be crazy. They might, try to get him in trouble. I don't know. But we're going to ask him some questions and see how that goes for today's episode. So
I'm going to just remind everyone that you guys do have birthdays. Now, Will, we've already passed yours for 25.
Yep.
And you're in July. But we'll try to remember. Of course, my brain's just... We may not remember, but you guys will be on the hot seat if I can remember soon. So just keep that just tucked away in your back pocket there. Just remember.
I'll start with this one. We've done a lot of stuff through the years, whether it was Maywood or CYC or with the podcast. There's just been a lot of different things. So my question to you to start off with is, what is one of your favorite, or what is your favorite project or thing that we've kind of done in the Ben and Travis days? What are some of the things that you look back and go, man, that one stands out. It could be a place we went. It could be one of the few things we've done, many things we've done, like dodgeball or running in marathons or whatever. There's been a lot. So
yeah, I don't know. I may have to go top 3. I don't know what the parameters necessarily are. I mean, I think Skits with the Truth has to be in there. That's a lot of fun, and that's not just the performing. That's the driving out to Dallas.
The practices sometimes are golden.
Yeah, sometimes I think about, for a while there, we were doing our Ben and Travis stuff, but we didn't do a whole lot of stuff during the year. We kind of got together. You had your thing going, I had my thing going. I got sick, whatever. But I think Skits with the Truth kind of upped that to where we hung out a lot more. The podcast would be in there. But I think just a set-alone event, I think any of the SWAT deals, I think you mentioned the St. Jude run that weekend is a lot of fun. There's not a whole lot of performing, so there's not like a whole lot of, brain power. There's a lot of physicality because you got to finish the run. But, anytime I get to hang out with you and Will and Josh and anybody else that kind of tags along, we have a different misfit crew kind of every year, which is cool. But, that's a lot of fun. And I think, anytime we get to do what comes natural, and that's be goofballs, whether that's on the stage. But I'll say the Worry Coaster, I mean, I think there was a little bit of stress there involved, unlike usual things, because like so many people pre-ordered, and it was like, man, there's a deadline to get there. But that's been a lot of fun. I haven't put a lot of the creativity into it like you and Jacob have, but that's been a fun process for sure.
But a lot of the stuff that got done as far as getting it printed, getting it out there, getting the orders, getting people behind it, that's been all you.
The customer service part, which is not my strong suit, has been what I've been doing. But no, that's been fun. It's been fun to watch you guys get together and throw my little 2 cents in there from time to time. So
yeah, I enjoyed the presentation of it. I thought that was great. Of course, Jacob's part of it was the best part of it, but it was pretty fun to be able to do that. Will, you got a question?
Yeah, I'm going to change the subject. So I know you're a sports fanatic. So we've got to go 2-part question here. I want to know your favorite sporting event that you have attended. And then I want to know like bucket list event that you're hoping to go to at some point. So it can be high school, college, pro, and then I assume, the bucket list item will probably be a college or pro thing. So that's what I want to know.
The bucket list is, and the funny thing is the last 2 years I've had the opportunity to not knock them off and didn't. And so it's kind of one of those regret lists too, but I definitely want to go to a Rose Bowl. Even if it's not a Rose Bowl game, go to the stadium at least. Had I known that within a week of Alabama losing to Michigan, which I have a lot of respect for, in the Rose Bowl, Nick Saban was going to retire, I would have gone to Pasadena the year before last. I think Ben and I even kicked around going to the one in Dallas. I was like, this is the closest the Rose Bowl will ever be to us. And I didn't go. And so that's kind of a regret. I wish I'd have just pulled the trigger and went to the Michigan. I mean, it doesn't get any better than Michigan and Alabama in the Rose Bowl with Nick Saban coaching, even though they came out on the short end. And then the Final Four last year. I mean, if you'd have come to me and been like, you come to me this year, a few years ago, and been like, hey, you're going to make the Elite Eight 2 years in a row, I'd have been like, yeah, you're crazy. What planet are you living on? So I'd love to go to a Final Four. I'd love to go to the Rose Bowl, but probably the Rose Bowl is a little higher on the list. And to me, the Rose Bowl is more attainable than the Super Bowl because now you got to buy like a package deal for the Super Bowl. Like it's a $4,000, $5,000 deal, and you have to buy like the hotel and the food and the whole weekend package to even get a chance to get a ticket to get in. So Super Bowl is probably a little out of reach, but I'd love to go to the Rose Bowl. The best one I've ever been to, that's kind of tough. I'll say Alabama came out on the short end again, but I was in the house when Manziel beat them. When he pickled the beast, there in Bryant Denny. And from a football coaching standpoint, that was a lot of fun because Bama got down really quickly. I mean, I think it was just like 21-0. And to see what Alabama did to come back was kind of interesting as a coach, and actually a lot of fun. Even though we lost, I remember being in the crowd, and I think AJ McCarron hit Kenny Bell or something for a deep pass. He got down to the 10, and everybody around us was like, "Don't score too quick! Don't score too quick!" And Whitney and I were like, "No, you want to score? Let's put the pressure on Texas A&M." I think it would have been for the first lead. In the next play, AJ threw a pick, and so I was kind of like, "Yeah,
that's
right.
why you score.
That's why you score. You take the points when you can get them." So that was a lot of fun. I've been to an SEC championship game where Alabama blew the doors off Missouri, so that was a lot of fun. And then I went with you, Will, to see Brandon Miller beat Vanderbilt by like 50. And then the next year, my kids and I went and saw Alabama, the Final Four team, play at Vandy, which Alabama won. So I would put all those up there, and I'm sure I'm leaving something out, unless you want to count WrestleMania. WrestleMania was fun. I've been to 2 of those. So
I've got to say the football game when you went with us a couple of years ago and you had the leukemia sign, and first time back in Bryant Denny was a pretty special one.
And that old lady beat me up the whole time.
Yes,
She kept slapping me.
Miss Sue, she's still Facebook friends with me, but Ben, so she's a member of the church, and I got to introduce her because through the season, several people went when mom or dad couldn't go, and I was like, "Oh, Travis is another preacher," and I should have never, when I said that, she was on us the rest of the game, But what was so funny with you in sporting events that always gets me is let this be a sign.
Oh yeah.
And I finally got to experience that with you walking around Bryant Denny, with you holding that, and just the sheer confusion on so many people's faces as they read a poster. For those that don't know, a poster that just simply says, "Let this be a sign." And
I think the vitriol that I get sometimes from that is always kind of mind-boggling. Like people get upset, but. And I went with Ben and his kiddos in the last year of Nick Saban. We went, I think it was the home opener. And so forever, Haley and Daniel, and I think it was Destin, or was it just Destin? It may have just been Destin that went with you.
Destin with me, yeah.
And say, "Hey, we saw a Nick Saban game before, the GOAT, the greatest of all the times." So,
well, and St. Jude is a sporting event. On some level, and you always go. You were either Spider-Man, I think, one year, and then of course you got to go as Forrest Gump a couple of times.
I think the Gump is back officially forever. I think.
I think he's got to be back. But I mean, just the amount of people who want to take pictures with you. It's kind of like the "Let this be a sign" thing walking around. It's like, oh, there's Forrest Gump. We have to get a picture with him, and so that's always fun. I haven't been as many sporting events as you've been through the years, especially not meaningful ones. I've gone to a lot of the games that aren't very meaningful. But I was just talking about yesterday, I guess, with Destin. I was telling her, I said, I think the sporting moment that will live rent-free in my brain maybe forever is the naked bootleg that William Mann ran during the championship game this year.
One of the best play calls I've ever seen. That was awesome.
That's going to be that play like that I'll remember. I'm not in high school, obviously, but I'm assuming there'll be a bunch of high school kids that will remember that play for a long time. So it's pretty cool. Keeping on the sports theme, what is your favorite? You have a ton of memorabilia, like helmets and autographs, and constantly getting more and adding to it. So what would you say is your favorite piece of memorabilia that you have?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. I think I'd have to go with a few years into Whitney and I being married. She found a game-worn Alabama jersey with the 75th patch on it, 75th SEC. This is before any real success of Nick Saban. I think it's Rashad Johnson's game-worn jersey. That he wore in the game where I don't know if you guys realize, but Nick Saban struggled a lot in his first year But one team he did not struggle against and beat by multiple touchdowns were those Tennessee Volunteers. And so it's a game-worn jersey, which is awesome anyways, that it was worn in a college football game. But then around the bowl season, we went to New Orleans and visited Scott Kaiser, who's been on the podcast, and we had tickets to the Saints game. And I took the jersey that morning. I took it with me to church because we were leaving church and going straight to the game. And I said, it was Alabama's playing Utah, which didn't go real well. But I was like, they got to entertain these guys, and they're going to take them to the football game. And so we went, and Whitney made fun of me because I was going to be the 9-year-old, 30-something-year-old in there. And I'm sitting there, and about that time, the entire receiving corps for Alabama comes and sits behind me, minus Julio Jones. And so I've got the jersey. I get it out. They start signing it, and I'm like, "So where's the rest of you?" And they point over to like the 50-yard line, and it's just a sea of crimson. And so I forget the Saints. I'm out there with an Alabama jersey in New Orleans, right?
Perfect.
In New Orleans, where everybody's like, "What are you got that jersey for?" Because they all hate Alabama, and I'm just going around like a kid in a candy store asking these guys to autograph my jersey. I get to Eric Anders, who with future glory helped win the national championship the next year, and I'm pretty sure he hit on Whitney. So. And she had to point. Well, there's my husband over there as I am asking for autographs. And I remember Rashad Johnson. He was there, and he's like, "How did you get this?" And he said, "I don't know. I bought it on it. My wife bought it on eBay." So
that's hilarious.
He was a little shocked that I had the game worn jersey that he had actually worn. So
yeah, that's a cool
my favorite item. Long story, but
it's a good one.
My claim to fame is Tyrone Prothro hit on my cousin when she was at Alabama. So
there you go.
So I got a bunch of autographs as a kid from her because all the football guys. But
perfect. I got Tyrone. Yeah. I think my picture of him's at school. So
pretty good athlete. All right. So here's my question, and switching now to something that I've always admired about you was how you handled outside looking in your cancer diagnosis. And so to reel in some of that, I want to know, what was it that was the most encouraging that people did to help you get through that moment, other than, of course, some wonderful doctors, all of that. But like, what were the simple things, or a simple thing that people did that made an incredible impact in the journey?
Well, we know the dangers of social media. We've had guys come on and talk about that, but I don't know that there's ever been so much access. And I understand some people want privacy, and that's their gear. I can remember people dealing with some major health issues and then not wanting anyone to know, which once again is their prerogative, and they can do it however they want to. And I know there are certain things, blood cancer isn't really all that thing to be ashamed. It has to do much with privacy. But I would say just even the comments when Whitney would do an update, and, I'm sitting there and she would read through what everyone was saying. And of course, there was a tremendous outpouring from CYC. People love you, but to see a T-shirt that says CYC loves Travis, or, the simple fact, people willing to drive me to a treatment when I got out of the hospital, and just, feeling that special kindness from people. And I think it just spoke volumes. The church isn't perfect. And if it was, we wouldn't need Jesus. But to see that, and, people who don't know me other than being on a stage where I can certainly be a jerk and sing my version of Rocky Top to the boos of thousands of people. But man, that was heartwarming. It still is. It's still somewhat hard to process the overwhelming outpouring of that. So, and then people took time and wrote letters, and, as I've stated many times, I've got that box still up in my closet that I see every single day of people who took time out to do that. So, the church was out in force, and, where there are other people that aren't as well known, like that stuff makes a difference.
It was interesting to me. We had a member whose house one of the rooms got flooded, and so they reached out, and me and Josh went over, took some shop vacs, and just started vacuuming. Well, a day or two later, I went back to pick up some supplies that we had just dropped off, and he goes, "Will, you are never going to believe the best gift that somebody brought." And I was like, "Well, I thought we did decent bringing shop vacs, you know." And he goes, "Somebody went and bought us brand new towels." And I was like, that is a brilliant idea. And my mind just does not think,
Yeah.
on the like those little moments. And I wish that maybe I just need to think more, about what somebody actually needs. But I just thought, man, like I could have done that. What's going to Walmart and buying 10 towels? But it amazed me that somebody had the thought process to go, hey, I bet they've used every one of those towels to soak up water in their house. I'm going to go buy them brand new ones.
Yeah.
And so I've always been curious of just the little things that people do that just make such a huge impact.
I was talking with one of our members here today who's having to kind of be homebound with his wife who's got some health issues, and he said somebody brought them just a gift card to Publix. And they were like, he said, a lot of times people bring you gift cards to eat out and we can't really go eat out. And he said, I'd have never thought about somebody just bringing me a gift card to Publix so I can go get what we need and come right back home. And so, like you said, there's just sometimes people just think outside the box a little bit. Not that, I guess I knew Publix had gift cards, but, that was something that just sort of stood out to him, as I'd never even thought about somebody bringing a gift card to a grocery store. But it was really helpful to them. So
it's the Karen Mans of the world.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say
exactly what I was thinking about.
Probably the same person that did both of those things.
Yeah.
Well, that's what, like, I remember when, like, Lindsay has gone through a couple things, and then all of a sudden there's just a book that's in the mail in our mailbox. I'm like, blast it. She is so good at all of this. And I'm just kind of like, oh.
She's dropped soup off on the porch or different things when I've been sick. So, I mean, there you go, Karen. You get your little shout out for the day for sure. So
stop making the rest of us look so bad. That's what it is.
All right, Travis. So this one might be something you got to think about in just a minute. There are some things that we just automatically associate with you. He's going to be goofy. He's going to hate Tennessee. He's going to be for Alabama. There's just things that aren't surprises. What is something that you think would be a surprise for people to find out about you? Like that they would be like, wow, I didn't know that about Travis. What do you think?
Probably the least known, Ben, you know this, Will, you know this, but playing bass guitar in a metal rock and roll, and I don't mean like Elvis, AC/DC. I'm talking like some screamo in there, and I was not the singer by any means, but I played bass guitar for viola, which a lot of our songs were inspired, I'll say it that way, by Jesus. So, I mean, people who think, and I'm sure we're not the first nor the last that did that, but yeah, I traveled around, won a couple of Battle of the Bands, played a pretty big arena in Atlanta. It's funny, I think we won most of our Battle of the Bands just because we were louder than everybody else. But
I went to one of those in Atlanta. Yeah. It was on one of the 8,000 Peachtree streets. Because I remember looking for it forever, because we had got on one Peachtree Avenue and then street and court and center and something, and it was like we finally found the place that y'all were playing in. But it was
it's Viola, Viola, inspired by the camp song, and we actually recorded. God is the conductor of our lives, like a viola, viola.
So that's actually where the name came from.
Yes, and we performed a lot at Camp Naotti, and we actually recorded our demo in a cabin at Camp Naotti in Gunnersville, Alabama. And but it was a lot of fun. They were practicing at my house, and they couldn't find a bass player, and so finally they just came in and said, "Hey, you're a loser and have no life and no girlfriend. And you're right out of college, so we're going to teach you how to play bass.
Learn this."
They were a lot nicer than that, but But yeah, that was a lot of fun. We had a blast. I enjoyed doing that. And so Ben and Travis has taken, and a SWAT as well has really filled that void in my life. But playing music's one of the, and Ben, one of the most fun things
it's
there
absolutely
is to do, So as fun as this has been, and I honestly didn't know any of these questions were coming, and I don't even know what the question of the day is going to be. But the question of the day is brought to you by magicmind.com/BAT20. It has been a tremendous blessing in my life, especially I think post CYC for sure, because it's been just kind of it's just crazy to me to look up and think, like, as we record this, April 1st is tomorrow. And it's just been a zoom, one thing to the next, which is kind of how I like it. Keeps me out of trouble. And certainly being on my toes with all the traveling and all the planning and putting workbooks together. And, before you know it, Ben, Lads to Leaders will be rolling around. And let me tell you, that weekend, I will be definitely participating in Magic Mind. And man, I just love it. Gives me a good boost. No crash. I took it right before we came on the podcast today so I could be ready for all y'all's crazy, awesome questions. But you can get up to 48% off your initial subscription at benandtravis.com/BAT20. And the older I get, the more I need that boost. And man, Thursday's coming.
I hear that. Well, the question of the day is this. It is, if somehow you were, there was going to be another Hebrews chapter 11 written that says, by faith, Abraham by faith, Moses by faith, all these different guys. It tends to be they got through something, they went through something. And we've talked about with this podcast a lot. That's kind of why we started it. Could you finish that sentence about Travis? By faith, Travis, whatever. What would, even if it's not something that that you could like necessarily finish the sentence about something that has happened, how would you want that sentence to be finished in your life?
That will take a minute to think about, but right off the top of my head, by faith, Travis had confidence that despite all of my ways to mess things up, God can't be foiled. Whether that's my blood at the molecule level deciding to throw a big frat party and try to kill everything else in my body. There was a faith, there was a hope connected from years of doing the things that you mentioned earlier, Ben. And, when that I had a foundation of people. I was telling somebody the other day, and I know we've mentioned on the podcast today, that as many preachers and teachers and tremendous orators and loving people that, Miss Maddie probably weighs 100 pounds soaking wet and probably less than that right now, has had as much an impact on me spiritually as anyone on the planet, just because no matter how goofy and dumb I was in class and how much you knew more scripture than me, she always treated me like I was the smartest guy in the room. And man, the faith that takes.
Yeah.
So I think I'm literally a person that's been raised by the village. And I would desperately want to be that for my own two. But I'm so happy that I don't have to be it. So by faith, Travis has confidence that God's going to get it done no matter. And I think we mentioned this in the question and answer one on the way back from South Carolina, like just hands open, God, if this is the way you want to do it, or this is where you want me, help me to be willing to accept that, whether it's the Abraham go or the stay right where you're at.
I saw something that your comment reminded me of yesterday. I don't know if it was in one of our text threads or not, but it said something about when God called you, he had already taken your stupidity into mind,
Absolutely. I feel so seen. I feel so seen,
He had already decided, I know I got to work around this part, but I'm still going to use this guy. So
And as
That's pretty
truthful
awesome.
as I want to be, I don't want to be a false teacher. I think at some level we're all false teachers because there's things we look back and go, man, I had that wrong. Thankful for the grace, but I want more. I want to be truthful. I want to speak the truth, but I want to make sure that I'm genuine. I want people to leave going, that's who he is, whether it's good or bad or ugly. And I don't want people to ever come across that I have the process nailed down. Like, listen to me, that I'm the authority on this or that. We just want to be closer to Jesus and look like that guy. So
I hear you. I like it. Well, happy birthday. We are all very thankful that you have been in our lives and that you're still in our lives. I think that I can speak for my family, our family, as we're cousins, of course. I think I can speak for Will, but maybe not.
Will's jam. It's over. He's adopted. He's in here.
But we're thankful for you and for all that you do in the kingdom and the encouragement that you give to us, because I don't think I'd be where I am without you, and appreciate your pushing us a little bit more and more each day. And I think especially, well, it can be annoyance, but it keeps me faithful and it keeps me strong.
Hey guys, let's do a podcast about me.
Yeah, let's do it. I like it. I think it's fantastic. Thank you. We appreciate you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.